Welcome to part 4 of my AutoCAD tutorial. In this video we're going to draw an elevation of the house that we drew a plan of in part 3. So there we go. I've got my house, it's got lots of windows, it's got two big doors, or one big door and one normal door. And the next thing to do is draw an elevation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to select 0 again because I just want a random layer. I'm going to draw some construction lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is, for an elevation, I'm going to draw this face here. So I'm going to just draw a horizontal line down here. So I'm going to make sure I've got my orthogonal on. So I'm going to press F8. I'm just going to draw a horizontal line like that. It doesn't matter how big it is. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some lines just to pick out the features of the house that you're going to see. So if we're looking this way, you're going to see two windows and a door and a bit of wall. So I'm going to click on this wall here, and again I'm just going to drag it down past that line and left click and then hit escape, and then I want to pick out each of these features. So what I'm going to do is select the line I've just drawn. I'm going to hit CP for copy paste, spacebar, and then it's going to ask me for a base point. So I'm going to pick the very end of that line, which is on the corner of the building, and now I'm going to just come along here and I'm going to left click on each feature on each corner. So either side of the window, left click either side of the door, and this is where the snaps are invaluable really, because you know that by clicking on the snap everything's going to be bang on. So left click again and then one more on the corner, and then when I'm done I'm going to hit escape. I don't need to worry about the back or the sides yet, we could do those later. Okay, so we're going to call this my ground floor, my baseline, and I've decided that my house is going to be, each story is going to be 2.5 meters, so 2,500 millimeters. So, and it's going to have 2 floors and then a roof space above that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit copy paste, having already selected that, and I'm just going to pick, I could pick anywhere, so I'm just going to click somewhere, and then I'm going to drag my mouse up and type in 2500. So eventually that line will all get deleted, but it's just a visual marker for me, so I know where the end of the first floor is. So the end of the ground floor, the start of the first floor. And then I'm going to do another one, so I'm going to hit 5,000, so that's 2,500 and another 2,500 on top. So that's effectively the ceiling level of the first floor, and then we're going to pick a roof level, so we might as well call it 7500. So that is the peak of the roof. And now what we're going to do is we're going to use a function called trim, because we've got lots of lines here and only some of them are actually useful in part of the building. So what we're going to do is we're going to press TR. We could come up here. I bet trim is in here somewhere. Okay, I don't know where it is, because again I never use the buttons for these commands because they're so easy. TR for trim. So TR and then space. Now when you're using trim, you're using the first line that you select, or the first group of lines you select, are the cutting lines. So effectively the first lines you select will be intact, and it's the lines you select on the second click which are going to get cut. So these lines here are all extra. So what I'm going to do is, this is the edge of the house. I know that there's nothing in the house that is this way or this way, so I'm going to select these 2 lines, and this is the ground level, and I know there's nothing south of here, so I'm going to click on that one as well, and then I'm going to hit space, and now everything that is below that line gets chopped, and then everything on the right hand side of this line gets chopped, and everything over here gets chopped. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to cut is, we said that this was the peak of the roof, so there can't be anything higher up than that on the building, so I'm going to click that as well, and I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so now we've got a big square, a big rectangle with lots of little rectangles. We said that I think we can make the roof pointy, so sloping roof. So I'm going to click in the middle, midpoint there, just a line, and I'm going to drag it down to this corner here and click. I'm going to do the same over here. I could have mirrored it, I suppose, if I wanted to. Now for my door. So for my door, I'm going to go back and pick green. For the doors, I suppose I want to, no, we'll stick with that. I'm going to make myself a little doorstep, just a feature, just so you know it's a door. So I've picked that button in the corner, and I know that this door should be 1 meter wide. So I'm going to hit the Shift at key. I'm going to type in 1000, if that's how wide it is, comma 100. So I'll give myself a little doorstep, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pick doors, and I'm going to make my door. Most doors in the UK are sort of 2 meters, 2.1. So we'll call it 2 meters. So I'm going to left click there, and I'm going to make my box 1000 wide, because that's how big it is. 1000, comma 2. No, not. Yes, 2 meters. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. And to make it look a bit more door-like, we could show a frame, I suppose. So we could do offset, and then just for the distance we'll just put 50 mil for a bit of a door frame, and click and bring that inside. Now we don't really, we're kind of showing a door frame under the door, which you don't really get here in the UK. So what I could do is just drag that down. That's a bit of a sort of cheap and dirty way of doing it, but visually it works. So there are other ways of doing that, making it prettier. Now with the windows, I might come back and do more on the door in the next tutorial. I just want to show you something about blocks with the windows, because that's really useful. So we're going to click on our Windows layer, and we're going to do we're just going to make a window over here. So we're going to do left click. I'm going to make our windows 1 meter by 1 meter. So Shift at 1000, comma 1000, space. Okay, so our windows are going to have a 50 mil frame as well. So we're going to hit the O key for offset. O space. It's already on 50, but we're going to type in 50 just to make sure, and then hit space. And then we're going to left click on the window and bring it inside, and we've got now a window frame. Now that looks pretty boring as windows go, so we're going to put a little feature down the middle. So I'm going to come over here to line and go left click, and we're going to come across here, across the middle, and then again, same again. So I'm just going to hit space to do the same command again, space. I'm going to pick the midpoint and drag it down here to the other midpoint. And again, it looks okay, it looks better, but you don't really ever get anything that's sort of 0 millimeters thick. So we're gonna thicken this up a bit. So I'm gonna hit O for offset again, and I'm just gonna make these. I want to make these 20 mil thick, these kind of beads for the window. So 20. Oh, sorry. No, I want them to be 20 mil thick, so I'm going to make this 10 thick. So 10. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click there, and then I'm going to click on one side, and then I'm going to go back and click it on the other side. So now I've got a 20 mil thick thing with a line down the middle. I'm going to do the same here. So left click up, and then left click down, and then I'm going to select the middle 2 lines and delete them. So now I've got a mullion and or a transom and a mullion, I think they are. And to sort this bit out in the middle, I'm going to press TR for trim, and I'm going to select everything there in the middle, and then press space, so they're all cutting lines now. And then I'm going to come across here, just left click, drag, left click again, and then up here left click, because the other lines are still cutting lines even though they've already been cut, and drag, and then this one's just being stubborn. There we go. Sometimes it does that. And then I'm going to hit escape because I've done all the trimming I need to. So now I've got myself a nice little window, and a little trick I'm going to show you now is I'm going to select all of it, because let's say if I want to move this over here, I'll show you why I'm going to do this. I'll come along and I just, oh yeah, I do that, and I do move, left click space, and I've only taken half my window with me. So to get around that, just press undo there, undo U space. So to make sure that this always sticks together, I'm going to make it into a block. So I'll select it all and I type in BLOCK, block. Now blocks can get very detailed and very complicated. We're going to keep it super simple for this tutorial. So we're just going to give it a name. We're going to call it window, and we're going to ignore all this stuff and just press OK, and it's going to, and there we go. So we've got a window, and that is now a block. So if I move that over there, everything goes together. And I'm going to show you another nifty feature of this in a minute. Now, I want it to look nice, so I want the top of my window to be in the same position as the top of my door. So I'm going to come over here with a line. I'm going to left click the top of the door, drag it across, left click again, and then I'm going to select my window, and then I'm going to pick the top right corner there and just move it across and pop it here, because this line here, if we go up, is in line with my window. And now I've got my window, I can copy, paste, and what I can do now is, because I've still got all these other reference lines in, I could pick, I don't have a blue line over here, but I do have this line here. So I'm going to click on that and drag it over to its friend over there, and then we've got another one. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to click, I've selected both my windows, I'm going to do copy, CP, space, and then I'm going to pick this line here, which is the baseline, and I know that the distance between here and here should be the same as here and here. They should both be 2.5 meters. So if I click there and drag it up to there, the windows will move the same distance. So now we've done that, I can get rid of this line because it's an imaginary line. It's not. It's an internal line, I suppose, where the floors will be. So I can get rid of that. And I don't need these lines anymore because I've drawn my doors and my windows. Oh, hang on. So what I could do is I could make a new window upstairs. So CP, copy paste, and this time I'm going to pick this line up here and I'm going to move it across to there. You see, now it's nice, bang in the middle. So then I'm going to left click and get rid of all these, and I'm going to get rid of my blue sort of construction line, and now I'm left with that. Now I don't really need, I need these lines because they're my walls, but I don't really need these ones at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit TR for trim, space, I'm going to select this line here, the roof line, and then I'm going to trim that one and that one. We should just leave this one free to be deleted. And there you go, we've got the starting of a house. Now I'm going to show you the other benefit of making these windows into blocks. So what I'm going to do is, let's say you're designing something for a customer and they've decided, oh, you know what, I don't like the design of that thing, I want to change it, I don't want these transoms anymore, just want the million down the middle. So I'm going to left click and then right click and select block editor. I'm going to come in here, they've decided they don't want these bits, so I'm actually going to get rid of all of them except the top ones, and I'm going to use another tool called extend. So I do EX for extend, that's probably up there somewhere. I'm going to hit space, I'm going to click on the place where I want to extend them to, which is here, and then I'm going to click on the things I want to extend, which is these two lines here, and there you go. So it's effectively the opposite of trim. So what I'm going to do is come up here to close block editor, left click, save the changes to the block window, and now you can see all my windows have changed. And if I hadn't made them into blocks, I would have had to go back and change each one separately. So again, blocks are a vital tool. So I'm just gonna, these things are walls, so I'm going to keep them as walls, and we're going to leave it there for the end of the first tutorial. But you've seen how we can draw a house. Alright, it looks pretty basic, but in the next tutorial I'll go into a lot more detail. We'll do some stuff with layers. Okay, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out the next tutorial. Bye bye.